Well, I could shake the 8-ball, have my tarot cards read. I could check my horoscope or call my best friend. But when it comes to making decisions, I let divine wisdom be my guide. I evaluate my options and I discern and decide.
When it comes to making decisions, how do I discern and decide? How do I let divine wisdom be my guide? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, Reverend Teresa and I are doing a talk series on our 12 spiritual powers. There are gifts that lie within us. They're inactive, and it's up to us to awaken to them. And when we awaken to them, we rise not only our consciousness, but the consciousness of the people around us, and eventually the world. That's how powerful we are. The 12 powers are, and Dan, you have them on the screen. Faith, strength, we did those two last week. Judgment, it's the one we're doing today, guys. Love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, and life. So today we're talking on the third one. Judgment or wisdom is the title of our talk. Now that word judgment, when people hear it, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. Last week I mentioned to Fern and Brent, I said, next week, and then, ooh. And then during the week I was sitting with Susie and Kim in the office, and I said, I need a talk title. I said, didn't we just put judgment up there? And they went, ooh. And then it's judgment or wisdom. And when I left, I noticed that they had put up wisdom or judgment. And I went, oh, that's not right. It's judgment or wisdom. That's what I'm talking about. And then someone said to me, well, it's a good thing, because if I'd driven by and seen the word judgment up there first, I probably wouldn't have come in. So, we think some things are mistakes, but they're not, are they? That's exactly the way they're supposed to be. So that knee-jerk reaction, that cringe, where does it come from? It probably comes from those old religious roots we have at one time. And we heard sermons on how judging was a sin. I know I did. Or we heard the talks about Judgment Day or the wrath of God's judgment. How many of you have lived through some of that? Yeah. So that's why that word just reacts in us. But there are two types of judgment. And the first one is false judgment. That's the one we're used to talking about. That's the one that makes us cringe. Because it's based on unconscious beliefs that are driven by fear, that are distorted by unloving, critical, man-made standards. Think about how you learned to judge. You were taught, weren't you? You don't judge as babies, as children. I grew up in a pretty ethnic community. And I grew up judging, because if you were from this country, if you were France, we got to judge you this way. And if you were from Poland, we got to judge you this way. And I was from Italy. My parents were Italy. We were judged a certain way. If you were Jewish, you got judged a certain way. And I remember an awakening. One day my uncle was sitting in the kitchen, around the kitchen table. He sat and had coffee. And he was talking about this ethnic group. And he said they should just stay where they came from. And as a child, I went, but my grandparents are from Italy. My mom was born in Italy. What is he talking about? So as a child, I was starting to say, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. And it wasn't about a few years later he married someone from that ethnic group. So with false judgment, every day is Judgment Day. I sit on the bench in my courtroom of my mind, and I make rulings, I make judgments, I hand down decrees. Making snap judgments and fast conclusions are based on emotions and feelings. They're based on a belief that mine is the only opinion that counts. There's a story about Babe Ruth. The umpire called him out. And he walked up to the umpire And he looked that umpire right in the eyes, and he said to them, there are 40,000 people in the stands who all know the truth that I am not out. And the umpire looked him straight in the eyes and said, that may be so, but mine is the only opinion that counts. Is yours the only opinion that counts? When I see the world through my opinions and my belief systems, I can hurt others. I can write them off without even giving them a chance. In 1865 in Concord, Mass., a book was banned. It was called Trash. And the book was Huckleberry Finn. Judgment, right? A 6-year-old boy was sent home with a note from his teacher saying he should be taken out of school. He was too stupid to learn. That 6-year-old boy was Thomas Edison. So do you see how we make these judgments? And then, in 1962, the executives of a recording company turned down a group of young musicians. We don't like their sound. Their groups of guitars are on the way out, and the group was the Beatles. So, opinions, judgments, they hurt. And they do. We can write people out of our lives and not give them a chance. When I judge someone else by how they dress, by how they look, by how they talk, by how they act, how they should or should not be, what they should or should not do, I am judging by appearance, aren't I? So, judgment. It's not a bad thing. It's actually our decision-making faculty. It's how we make choices. And we make judgments daily. We make a judgment of what time we're going to get up in the morning, what we're going to eat for breakfast, what we're going to wear, how we prioritize our day. You made a judgment to come here and be at church this morning, didn't you? Now, that's not a bad thing. That's your decision-making. So the awareness, am I judging or am I just making a decision, is to look at what your thoughts are. Is this negative thinking? Am I complaining? Am I finding fault? If so, I'm judging by appearance. Now hear this. It doesn't make me a judgmental person, because my mind is only doing what it's been conditioned to do. So as a child, I grew up in this very judgmental community. And so all I knew how to do was judge. But that little conversation with my uncle made me aware. It started making me think. And what I realized, and what we say over and over again from up here is, I am the only one that can change my thinking. I am the only one that can change my decision making. I am the only one that can move from making false judgments to making what we call wisdom judgments. The second type of judgment is right judgment. It's divine wisdom. And instead of reacting, instead of making those snap, fast decisions, we take time, we sit back, and we look at it, we evaluate it, we appraise it, we discern it. So there are times when we all have tough decisions to make, difficult choices. And they may not be simple. They may involve complex factors. I need a new car. What's the best car to buy? It's time for a new house. What am I looking for in a house? What school should my child go to? What's best for my relationships? What's best for my health? What's best for my finances? What's the best way for me to handle this situation? This is what comes up. And we can judge or we can discern. I need to remember not to make a fast decision. When it's important things, we don't. We take our time, don't we? We don't just, I'm getting that car and run out and buy it. We remember to use right judgment. We remember to tap into that divine power, into that place of wisdom, and come from there. Because when we do, when I can remember to get out of my head and everything I've been taught about judging, when I can move within and tap into that divine wisdom, the guidance I get, the decision I make, is going to provide the best possible outcome for all concerned. Do you hear that? Now, everyone may not like that decision. Everyone may not like that choice. But I know I've moved from that place inside me of truth and not from my head. The song we just sang that B.A. wrote, when it comes to making decisions, I let divine wisdom be my guide. I evaluate my options, and I discern and decide. So what is discernment? You know what judgment is, right? You got that one down. What is discernment? We always have the choice to judge falsely or wisely. So those times when everything seems against us, that we have a hard decision to make, instead of reacting from my human intellect, from my ego expectations, and that's what they are, aren't they? When I make a judgment, it's because someone didn't show up the way I expected them to. Instead of reacting from worldly concepts, how the world tells me I'm supposed to see this, I choose not to make a snap judgment, and I turn within, and I anchor into the spiritual powers of faith and strength that we talked about last week. And when I do that, then I allow that divine wisdom to guide me. How? How? The first one, Dan, you have, is I become still. We rush around all day, don't we? We've got to make all these time schedules. In the middle of it, become still. Stop, breathe. That's why I start us with this breathing. Because you're all rushing in here from different places, right? But we come together in that breath, and what happens? You can feel the change in here. Stop, breathe. Feel that quiet move over you. Feel that quiet move through you. And then you simply say yes. You say yes to the God energy that is always at work within you. The next thing you're going to do is be open. In that place, you're going to be willing to release your old conclusions, your old beliefs, and open to something greater. So I can stop, I can breathe, I can rest, take a deep breath, and I'm still got all those old thoughts in there, right? I'm still hanging on to them. And as long as I'm filled with all that old thinking, is there room for anything new? No. So I'm just going to let those go, and I'm going to open up. I'm a sponge. Here I am. I open to something greater. The unlimited, all intelligence of what we call God mind. It is vaster and greater than our human intellect. The answer to any question is there. But I have to open. I have to be willing to allow it, to let it come in. I have to relax and flow with whatever this experience is out here. You hear that, go with the flow, we hear that all the time. But what does it really mean? What is it really telling me to do? Move with the experience instead of resisting it, instead of struggling against it. Because what happens when I push against something? It pushes back, doesn't it? Last week we learned that strength is about being patient. It's about being tolerant. It's about being steadfast in our faith, in the truth of who we are. And it's about being balanced, our head and mind in union. And so I become still, and I've opened. And now what I have to do is feel. Yeah, we're getting the air, because air's coming down. Yeah. Thank you, John. It's feel. I'm still, I'm open, and now feel what's going on inside. Don't try to figure it out with your intellect. Shut your brain off and just wait. And what happens is you'll start to feel this impulse moving up from your heart space. You'll start to feel this impulse that starts to fill every part of you. And it's a positive feeling. It's a healthy feeling. It's a healing feeling. It's a peaceful feeling. And as you feel it, your whole body expands. And from there, it will direct you to a decision that is the highest and best for all. We've had a change in our service. And you're wonderful. You're giving me great feedback on it. But I didn't just come in and say, we're changing the service. This has been years. And it took the right person, BA, to come in and support it, to do it with me. And it is for the highest and best of everyone that walks in here. So I invite you to be open to this change, to be open to this difference, and allow it to fill you, because it will. So we become still, we open, we feel, and the last thing we do is listen. Calm, I'm centered, and those flashes of insight start to come. There's a clear guidance. And it tells me the next step to take. It tells me how to proceed. It tells me what to do and what not to do. And it's just as clear as if someone were talking to you. That's what we have inside us. Divine wisdom, right judgment, is a dynamic force within you. It awakens you to the reality of your true being, the truth of God good that is always and everywhere present. It awakens you to the truth that God is all intelligence. We live in this sea of intelligence, and it's always available to us at all times. So if I'm willing to become still, to open, to feel, to listen, I will always have clear guidance. It will always be revealed to me, and it will be revealed in and at the right time. So there's the patience, right? Not a snap thing. I have to be patient. I have to trust. I have to have the faith, the strength, and know that guidance will be there. So we awaken the spiritual powers of faith, strength, and wisdom. And then we are able to no longer let the race consciousness or anyone else's BS influence how we think, act, or make decisions. We have a short video of Martha Creek, and this is what she's going to be talking about in the 3 workshops she's doing. Dan?
The world won't understand us. Our relationships won't understand us. The people in our communities won't understand where we're coming from, because it won't always make sense to them, because they're also stuck in their belief systems, which I call their BS. So they're stuck in their BS like I'm stuck in my BS. So instead of expecting them to come out of their BS, their belief systems, it's like, I understand where they are. We're naturally more compassionate. We're more understanding, because we're just a thought away from that. At any minute, I could be back in that very painful belief system myself. So this is about accepting people where they are, accepting what we cannot change.
Martha Creek is going to be here this Friday at 6:30 for 3 hours, Saturday from 10 to 1, and then next Sunday she will do the Sunday talk and she will do a workshop. What I'm talking about, these belief systems, these things that continue to have me make judgments, to distance me from other people, that cause me pain. Martha Creek is a direct student of Byron Katie. Byron Katie was one of my teachers. Byron Katie was one of the most powerful teachers I had. It changed my life. It changed me. And when I heard we could have this person, I booked her a year ago. She is booked through 2017. So this is an opportunity for you to do some spiritual growth, for you to really get out of pain. And I invite you to come to all three if you can, but at least do one. Because when it comes to making decisions, are you stuck in your BS? Or are you allowing yourself to be influenced by someone else's BS? Belief systems. And if so, you're going to keep making false judgments. And you might as well plan on living in a place of confusion, turbulent emotions, fear, and the sense that you need to protect and defend yourself. To accept others, to accept situations exactly the way we are, because my pain comes from resisting them. We turn within to that place of right judgment, to that divine wisdom. And decisions and guidance come from a place of clarity, a place of peace, and it's always for the highest and best of everyone. Every soul, every single one of you has access to the source of divine wisdom within you. Do you believe that? Do you know that? Andrew, you got it, Andrew. Yes. But it takes the spiritual power of faith to trust divine wisdom, right? My faith has to be strong. And it takes the spiritual power of strength to stick with right judgment when appearances or our BS or someone else's distracts us. So this week, if you find yourself facing a decision, big or small, stop before reacting, before making a snap decision, and I'm going to give you an affirmation to use, and you'll get a copy of it during the service. So Dan, do you have that affirmation? I'm going to read it once. Divine wisdom guides me in making right decisions. Say it with me. Divine wisdom guides me in making right decisions. Again, divine wisdom guides me in making right decisions. Now close your eyes. Divine wisdom guides me in making right decisions. And open your eyes. And so, folks, it's judgment or discernment, and you get to choose. God bless you.